I could probably be the CEO of any company. I had to build the systems and the processes for them to be able to run the company without me.
Your legacy is who you are. People want to invest in a winner. Are you a winner? Make yourself a winner first.
Owning a business is a skill set all on its own.
I'm Hope Wiseman, and let's get into it. If you had seen me this time last year, it would have looked like everything I've been praying for was finally happening. My businesses were finally running without me. Wiseco, Mary & Main, they were stable. My team was dependable, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I didn't have to be everywhere wearing every hat at once. And you would think that I would have been extremely happy for this, right? This is everything that I prayed for, but I wasn't. I was actually extremely unmotivated. I just felt off, and I had no idea why. I couldn't put my finger on it because nothing was actually wrong, but it didn't feel fully right either. I really felt like I might have plateaued, like I had just reached this point where I wasn't gonna be a high performer anymore, and that I had lost that spark that made me me. But when I look back, it wasn't that. What I was missing was my connection with God. I was finally living in a season that I used to beg God for, and instead of honoring that, I was wasting it away. I was smoking too much, chilling on the couch, watching Netflix, letting my days blur together because I couldn't even really see what was happening to me at the time, because nothing around me actually looked that bad. And the thing about seasons like that is it really messes with your head, because you don't have an obvious reason to feel the way that you feel. You feel like you're kind of going crazy. When you've been in this hustle mode for years, you really get used to the adrenaline that brings, right? You get used to that pressure that you're always under. So when the life that you live now is real quiet, your body doesn't automatically interpret that as, oh, I finally have peace. Sometimes your body interprets it as emptiness. And for me, a lot of times my body interpreted it as boredom. So now you're sitting there like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? What am I supposed to do next? How am I supposed to feel good again? And I didn't realize how much of my identity had been tied to surviving. I remember being in the house in January like, okay, Hope, you finally have everything that you prayed for. You can breathe, you can calm down. Everything is fine. But why don't you feel better? The thing is, when you have that space and the time to breathe, you still got to choose what you're going to do with that. And I just wasn't doing anything. I was just coasting. I prayed for peace, but I was wasting it because I didn't know how to live in the space of what God asked for me. And how could I? I was so far from my faith at that time because I just didn't need God. Then February came. I've been traveling a lot at that time. I had just come back from Ghana, Cape Town. I was real outside. And then I went to St. Martin for my best friend, my queen's birthday, and we go to St. Bart's. I'm doing all the fancy things. And when I finally came home and sat down after all of that, I had a second to really think. I'd come back from all this travel, all these amazing experiences, and it still felt like something was missing for me. It became the period of time where I really started to sit down and reflect. And that's the time I realized when I'm looking at my life and I can't feel God in it, something has to change. I was really acting like I didn't need to keep practicing the faith and the devotion that had carried me through all the hard seasons before that and got me to this peace and happiness. I was really just treating God like an emergency contact. I felt like I was only calling on him when I was struggling or when I was scared or when I needed something. And, when my life felt calm, I really felt peace. I wasn't in alignment with him. It's because I wasn't praying the same. I wasn't reading my Bible and I wasn't actually making time to seek God. I realized that it's very easy to reach for God when you're struggling because you need him then, but it takes a different type of humility to thank him when you're winning and still reach for him even when you're comfortable. I realized actually though, when you're comfortable, that's when you got to lean in even more and thank God for the gifts that he gave you, but ask him to help you steward them. This is what I wish I understood last year. First, if your life finally got quiet and you feel lost still, find a way to pour new energy into your life. Sometimes when you've been running on adrenaline for years and you finally pause, you can start to feel a little purposeless. You start thinking, if I'm not hustling, then I must not be growing. but you really just don't know who you are outside of surviving. It can really feel like, what am I good for now? But you can still learn a new skill. You can still pick up a new hobby or build a healthier body. Just pour into yourself and find a new purpose. Second, stop treating God like your crisis hotline, y'all. It is just not right. I really had to look at myself and think, why am I only running back to God when things get hard or when, everything is fine? I am nowhere to be found. If you only reach for God when you're scared or when you need something, you're going to keep living a life that requires fear in order to feel Him. Number 3, create easy season non-negotiables. When you're in the grind, having discipline is much easier. You need it. You're under pressure. You have deadlines. You need to decide what your baseline is, no matter what. The things that you're going to do, even when you don't have deadlines or somebody looking over your shoulder. For me, it's wellness, it's daily time with God, and it's consistently learning something new. Those are my non-negotiables that help me stay grounded. So you know what? This actually makes me want to phone a friend really quick because I know we're not the only entrepreneurs who go through this. So I want to call my friend, Jennifer Lucy Tyler, who is somebody who is extremely rooted in her faith. And she's built a life and a platform that always honors God, no matter if she is going through a high season or a low season. She is always grounded. So let's call Jennifer. Hello. Hi, Jennifer. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. And I was just recording this podcast and, I was talking about how being in an easy season, I wasn't as grounded in my faith and I lost touch with God. And I was thinking about a person that I could call to kind of, get some advice on how to avoid doing this again. I'm trying to lock back in. So I know you're somebody who has, you've gone through a lot in your life and you have been able to outwardly show your devotion to God, no matter what you're going through. You just released a book. And in that book, you talk a lot about, when your prayers are answered, but not exactly how you imagine them. Like, how do you deal with that? Can you unpack that a little bit more for me?
Man, it's so tough because I think that is a human experience that all of us deal with.
Yeah.
All have experienced maybe praying for something and it either not happening the way that we expected, or the answer is even a no or a not yet. Yeah. And we're trying to wrestle with that and figure it out. I mean, I experienced that in my life through getting married and thinking the next step was to have a child and not realizing that I would be taken through 11 years of infertility that included pregnancy losses in between. I would say in my case with that, I didn't expect to go through that, right? I didn't expect for the answer to be, yes, I know you want a child, but this is what you are going to walk through before I give you that yes and I give you that answer. And so I'm on the other side of that, as you know, we have a 2-year-old now. Glory be to God, but it didn't come without experiencing that suffering and that trial. And I would say what that experience has taught me was to get to a place in my walk with God where I appreciate God, where I appreciate Christ more than the gifts that He provided.
So now that you're living in this answered prayer, you got your baby. She's a miracle. She's wonderful, super cute. Now, do you ever feel like, because that's kind of like where I was, right? Or I'm breaking out of it. But, things have been really good for me and I've been happy. We kind of talked about this a little bit, at dinner the other day. But how do you, when you're in these good seasons, how do you stay grounded?
It's interesting because I think it's how we view God. I think we have to challenge ourselves to view God not just as our Savior, because He is our Savior, right? When we are in those weak moments, those hard moments, we're running to Him as Savior. But He is also friend. He is also partner. He's
Yeah.
also father. And so I had to change my view of him. And because I also see Christ as my father, I see him as friend, that allows me to keep the communication and the intimacy going. Because, right now I may not feel like I need, this, to be on my face trying out because I need saving in some particular area. I may be having what I call, because we all experience wilderness seasons, but then there's those moments where we're like, I'm in my promised land,
Yeah.
But even when you're in that promised land, like, you still want to be able to communicate with your friend, with your father, right?
Right.
And so it's about shifting your perspectives of who God is in your life. And because I need my friend, I need my father, I need him, that even though I'm on the other side of an answered prayer, I realize, like, I still can't do life without you. I need your wisdom. I need your guidance. And so,
Wow, that's what I needed to hear right now, and I guess that's what everybody needs to hear, because I think that that's very normal to be living in this answered prayer and you think, okay, that's it, and like you said, we're treating God like our savior and we just need saving, but we have to remember that he wears many hats. He's not just our savior, he's our everything. He's everything to us, and we shouldn't forget
and
that.
he wants to be, one of the names of God is Emmanuel, which means God with us. He wants to be with us in and through it all. He wants to have that true relationship.
Thank you so much. I'm very thankful that I have women in my life that I can look to for guidance as I'm strengthening my walk with Christ. And, I consider myself kind of a baby in all of this. So it's really nice to have you to call on when I need a little bit of guidance.
It's all good. I'm always here. Feel free to call anytime.
I appreciate you so much, Jennifer. I also want to check out your church too. I was looking at that. I was like, I want to check that out.
Yes. You got to call me. I'll tell you all about it.
I will. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Talk to you later. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye. It's one thing to ask God to get you through all the hard seasons, but it's a completely different thing to stay close to him when you finally get everything that you asked for, and then you don't have a crisis that's forcing you to pray. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments and tell me where you were this time last year, because I know that growth looks different for all of us. But this year, you have the opportunity to start again. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. We are just getting started.